paragraph page 1198. Okay, and the last headword was contempt, newer type of lesson. Okay, so let's start with our revision. 98.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. In reference to
Yes.
writing, what do we mean by a review? In reference to writing, what do we mean by a review? By a review.
In Sorry. By
By
a
a
review,
review, we mean a piece of
we mean a
writing
piece of
that
writing
tells the reader
that tells the
about a
reader
book,
about a book,
film, event,
film,
or other
event,
product,
or other
and
product,
also
and
gives the
also
writer's
gives
opinions
the writer's
on
opinion
it.
on it.
Very good. Where do we normally find reviews? Where do we normally find reviews?
And
We
reviews.
normally
We
find
normally
reviews
find
in
reviews
newspapers,
in
in
newspapers,
magazines,
in
on
magazines,
websites,
on
etc.
website, etc.
Very good. What's the purpose of a review? What's the purpose of a review? The purpose
The
of a
purpose
review
of a
is to
review
help the
is to
reader
help the
decide
reader
if they want
decide
to buy
if
the
they
product,
want to buy the
watch the
product
film,
or
etc.
watch a film, etc.
Very good. What three parts can we normally expect a review to contain? What three parts can we normally expect a review to contain? We can normally
We can
expect a
normally expect
review to
a
contain
review to
an
contain
overview,
an
an
overview,
assessment,
an
and a
assessment,
verdict.
and a verdict.
Very good. What's the purpose of the overview? What's the purpose of the
Purpose
overview?
of
The
overview.
purpose of
The
the
purpose
overview
of
is to
overview
give basic
is to give
factual
basic
information
factual
about the
information
product,
about the
event,
product,
etc.
event, etc.
Very good. What does the assessment tell us? What does the assessment tell us? The assessment
The
tells us
assessment
the
tells
writer's
us the
opinions
writer's opinions
regarding the positive
regarding the
and
positive
negative aspect
and the negative
of the
aspect
product,
of the
event,
product,
etc.
event, etc.
Very good. What does the verdict do? What does the verdict do? The
The,
verdict
the
give us
verdict
the
give
writer's
us
overall
the writer's
conclusion and
conclusion and
recommendations regarding who
recommendations
the product or
regarding
event, who the
regarding
product, who the product
regarding who the product
or event might
or
be
event
suitable for.
might be suitable for.
Very good.
Okay,
One more. The verdict
okay.
gives
The
the
verdict
writer's
gives the
overall
writer's
conclusion
overall
and
conclusion
recommendations
and
regarding
recommendations
who the product
regarding who the
or
product
event might
or
be
event
suitable for.
might be suitable for.
Very good. Which kind of story is more likely to have some basis in historical fact, a legend or a myth?
Legend
Which
or
kind of
myth,
story is more likely to have some basis in historical fact,
basis
a
in
legend or a
historical fact,
myth?
a legend
A
or myth.
legend
A
is a
legend
story
is a
which is
story
more
which
likely
is more
to have
likely
some
to
basis
have some
in
basis
historical
in
fact.
historical fact.
Very good. What do I mean if I say the farm wagon trundled along the road? What do I mean if I say the farm wagon trundled along the road? If you say
If
the
you
farm
say
wagon
the farm
trundled
wagon
along the road,
trundle along the
you
road,
mean that
you
the
mean
farm wagon
that the farm
moved
wagon
noisily
moved
in a
noisily
heavy and
in
slow
a
manner.
heavy and slow manner.
Very good. What do we call a circular arrangement of leaves or flowers that we can use to commemorate a victory or death? For example,
For
what do we
example,
call a circular arrangements of leaves or flowers that we can use to commemorate a
leaves
victory or death? For example,
for
we
example,
call a
we call
circular
our
arrangement
circular
of
arrangement
leaves
of leaves
or flowers
or
that we
flowers
can use to
that we can
commemorate
use
a
to
victory
commemorate
or death,
a victory or
a
death,
wreath.
a race.
Very good. If the world were to run out of oil deposit, do you think it would spell disaster around the globe? If the world were to run out of oil deposits, do you think it would spell disaster around the globe? Yes or no?
Yes,
If the world were
if
to
the
run
world
out
were to run
of
out
oil
of
deposits,
oil
I
deposit,
think it would spell
I think it
disaster
will spell
around the
disaster around
globe.
the world.
Very good. What do we mean by a spell of bad luck? What do we mean by a spell of bad luck?
Spell of bad
By
luck.
a spell
By a
of
spell
bad luck,
of bad
we
luck,
mean a brief
we
period
mean a
of
brief
bad luck. A brief
period
period
of
of
bad
bad
luck.
luck. Very good. What's a heat wave? What's a heat wave? A heat wave
A
is
heat
a
wave.
spell of exceptionally. A
Sorry.
heat wave
A heat
is
wave
a spell
is a spell
of exceptionally
of
hot weather.
exceptionally hot weather.
Very good. One more. A heat wave is a
A heat
spell
wave is
of
a spell
exceptionally
of
hot weather.
exceptionally hot weather.
Very good. Okay. Next. If I give you a stock market tip that meant you stood to gain a lot of money, would you follow my advice?
Follow my
If I
advice.
gave you a stock market tip that meant you stood to gain a lot of money, would you follow my advice? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you gave me
If
a
you
stock
gave me
market
a
tip
stock market
that
tip,
meant I
that
stood to
meant
gain
I stood
a lot
to
of
gain
money,
a lot of
I'd
money,
follow your advice.
I'd follow your advice.
Give me some other example of stand to. Give me some other examples of the word stand to, please.
Stand to, please.
You must be crazy
You
to
must be
gamble
crazy
like that.
to gamble like
You
that.
stand to lose
You stand to
everything
lose
you've got.
everything you got.
As the only child
As the only
of a
child
wealthy
of a
businessman,
wealthy
he stands
businessman,
to inherit
he stands
a
to
fortune.
inherit a fortune.
Where if you were shipwrecked on a desert island, do you reckon you'd be able to build a raft and escape? If you were shipwrecked on a desert island, do you reckon you'd be able to build a raft and escape? Yes or no?
Yes.
If I were shipwrecked
If I were
on a
shipwrecked
desert island,
on a desert
I
island,
reckon I'd be
I
able
reckon
to
I'd
build
be
a raft
able to build a
and
raft
escape.
and escape.
How would you do it? How would you do it? I'd
I'd cut I'd cut some trees
mhm,
into some some parts
some parts are like long parts and
and log parts and tied them together
tie them
with
together
ropes
with ropes and use it. Very good.
and use it. Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible to wade across a very deep river? Is it possible to wade across a very deep river? No, it
No,
isn't
it
possible
isn't
to wade
possible
across
to
a
wade
very deep
across
river.
a very deep river
Why not? Why not? Because to wade
because
across,
to wade
your feet
across,
need to be
your feet
able
need to be able
to touch the bottom of the
to
river.
touch the bottom of the river.
Very good. What does the verb grapple mean? What does the verb grapple mean? The verb
The
grapple
verb
means
grapple
to
means
hold something
to
firmly
hold something
and struggle
firmly
with it.
and struggle with it.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. The policeman
The
grappled
policeman
with the
grappled
criminal
with the
on the
criminal
balcony.
on the balcony.
Very good. Is it hard for the new manager of a football club to live up to fans' expectations if his predecessor was very
His predecessor was
successful?
very
Is it
successful.
hard for the new manager of a football club to live up to
Football
fans'
to lead up to
expectations if
such
his predecessor was
if
very
his predecessor was
successful?
very successful.
Yes, it's hard
Yes,
for the
it's
new
hard
manager
for the new
of a
manager
football club
of a
to
football
live up
club
to
to
fans'
live up to fans'
expectations if
expectations
his predecessor
if his
was very
predecessor was
successful.
very successful.
Very good. Give me an example of the expression first and foremost. Give me an example of the expression first and foremost,
First and
please.
foremost,
In the past,
in
the
the past,
practice of
the
pickling
practice
fruit
of
and vegetables
pickling fruits or vegetables
was first and
was
foremost
first and
in order
foremost
to preserve
in
the
order
food
to preserve the
for as
food
long as possible.
for as long as possible.
Very good. When heavy black clouds build up across the sky, is it reasonable to assume a downpour is in store? When heavy black clouds build up across the sky, is it reasonable to assume a downpour is in store? Yes. When
Yes,
heavy black
when
clouds
heavy black
build up
clouds
across the
build up
sky,
across the
it's
sky,
reasonable to
it's
assume
reasonable
a
to
downpour
assume
is in
a
store.
downpour is in store.
Very good. Have you got anything in store for next weekend? Have you got anything in store for next weekend? Yes or no?
Have you get
Anything in
in,
store, like a
in
gig or
store?
somewhere to go or an outing?
Yes,
I've got something
I've
in
got
store
something in
for
store
next weekend.
for next weekend.
Very good. Okay, give me a sentence with the word presently in it. Give me a sentence with the word presently in it, please. The ceremony will
The
commence
ceremony will
presently
commence
once
presently
all the principal
once
guests
all the principal
have
guests
arrived.
have arrived.
Very good. What happens to somebody who's caught betraying their country? What happens to somebody who's caught betraying their country? Somebody who's caught
Somebody who's
betraying
caught
their country
betraying their
is
country
imprisoned
is
or
imprisoned
perhaps even
or perhaps
executed.
even executed.
Very good. Name an animal that waddles when it walks. Name an animal that waddles when it walks, please. The name of an
The name
animal
of
that
an
waddles
animal
when it
that
walks
waddles when it
is a
walks
penguin.
is a penguin.
Very good. Have you ever spent a whole day without uttering a single word to anyone? Have you ever spent a whole day without uttering a single word to anyone? Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
I've spent a whole day
I've spent a whole
without
day
uttering a
without
single
uttering
word
a
to
single
anyone.
word to anyone.
Is there anybody in the world that you feel utter contempt for? Is there anybody in the world that you feel utter contempt for? Yes or no?
No,
There isn't anybody
there isn't
in the
anybody
world
in the world
that I feel
that I
utter
feel
contempt for.
utter contempt for.
Very good. One more. No, there isn't
No,
anybody
there
in the
isn't
world
anybody
that
in
I
the world
feel utter
that
contempt
I feel
for.
utter contempt for.
Very good. Okay, so that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word.
Okay,
Okay, repeat. Canoe,
canoe,
paddle.
paddle,
Very good. Okay, listen. Paddle is a verb. It means to move through the water in a boat
moves through
using a
the
long
water
piece of wood,
using a long
which
piece
we
of wood,
also call a
which
paddle.
we call a
For
paddle.
example, a paddle, we paddle a boat with a paddle.
Paddle is a paddle.
Canoe is a noun. It is a narrow, open boat
Narrow
designed for
open
one or
boat
two
designed
people,
for one or
which we
two
move
people,
by paddling.
which move by paddling.
Let's practice. Describe a canoe. Describe a canoe, please. A canoe
A
is a
canoe
narrow, open
is a
boat
narrow open boat.
designed for one or
This
two people. Designed
desi- okay, designed
for one or two
for
people,
one or two
which we
people,
move by
which we
paddling.
move by paddling.
Very good. One more. A canoe
Okay,
is a
a canoe
narrow, open
is a
boat
narrow open
designed
boat
for one
designed
or two
for one
people,
or two people,
which we move by
which we
paddling.
move by paddling.
Very good. Next, repeat. Jab.
Jab,
Very good. Okay, listen. Jab means to push, usually sharp
push,
objects
use
suddenly or
sharp
strongly
object
towards
suddenly
something.
or strongly
For
towards
example,
something.
I'm jabbing my hand with the point of
Jabbing
my
my hand
pen.
with the point of my pen.
Let's practice. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're jabbing your
You are
hand
jabbing your
with the
hand
point of
with
your
the
pen.
point of your pen.
Very good. What do I mean if I say the doctor gave me a job?
Maybe a
What do I
job.
mean if I say the doctor gave me a job? If you say the
If you
doctor
say
gave
the
me a
doctor
job,
gave me
you
a job,
mean the
you mean
doctor gave
the
you an
doctor
injection.
gave you an injection.
Very good. Let's repeat. Dangle.
Dangle.
Very good. Okay, listen. Dangle is a verb. It means
It's a
to
verb.
hang or swing loosely or
Hang or
limply.
swing loosely or
For
limply.
example, after the climbing accident, I was
Climbing
left
accident.
dangling
I
on
was
the
left
rope for
dangling
more than
on the
an
rope
hour
for
before I
more
was
than an
rescued.
hour before I was rescued.
Let's practice. What does the verb dangle mean? What does the verb dangle mean? The verb dangle
The
means
verb dangle
to
means
hang or
to
swing
hang
loosely
or swing
or
loosely
limply.
or limply.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. After the climbing accident,
After the climbing
I was
accident,
left dangling
I was left
on the rope
dangling
for
on the
more than
road
an hour
for more than an hour
before I was rescued.
before I was rescued.
Very good. Next, repeat. Couple.
Couple,
Very good. Okay, listen. Couple is a verb. It means to lose balance and fall down.
lose balance and
For
fall down.
example, if a pile of plates is too
Pile of
high,
plates is too
it's likely
high.
to topple
It's
over and
likely
the
to topple
plates will
over and the
smash.
plates will smash.
Let's practice. If a pile of plates is too high, what's likely
Too
to
high.
happen?
What's up to
If a
happen?
pile of plates is too high, what's likely to happen? If a pile of
If a
plates
pile
is
of
too
plates
high,
is too
it's
high,
likely to
it's
topple
likely
over
to topple
and the
over
plates will
and the
smash.
plates will smash.
Very good. Next, that's that.
That's that.
Very good. Okay, listen. We use the expression that's that to convey that a
To
conversation,
convey the
a
conversation,
situation, or process is
situation,
definitely
or
finished.
process is definitively
For
finished.
example, you cannot watch TV till your homework is
Till
done,
your
and
homework
that's
is
that.
done. That's
Let's
that.
practice. When do we use the expression that's that? When do we use the expression that's that?
That's that.
We use the
We use
expression
the
that's that
expressions
to
that
convey that
to
a
convey the
conversation,
a conversation,
situation, or process
situation, or
is
process
definitely finished.
is definitely finished.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples, please. You cannot watch
You
TV
cannot watch
till your
TV.
homework is done. You
You
cannot
cannot
watch TV
watch TV.
till your homework is done.
Okay. Till your homework is done,
And that's that.
and that's that.
One more.
Okay.
You cannot watch
You
TV
cannot watch
till
TV
your homework
till
is
your
done.
homework is
And
done,
that's that.
and that's that.
The police know
The
you
police
stole
know
the car.
you stole the
So
car,
that's that.
so that's
I
that.
just have to
I
knock
just
in
have to
one
knock
last
in
nail,
one last
and that's
nail,
that.
and that's that.
Very good. And that's that for stage 12. Let's move on to
Okay.
stage 11. Quick stage revision.
Stage revision. Okay.
Okay, and then full stage revision. Okay, here we go. Let's start. Do you often bump into friends of yours when you're walking around town? Do you often bump into friends of yours when you're walking around town? Yes or no?
Yes.
I often bump
I
into
often
friends
bump
of mine
into friends of
when I'm
mine
walking
when
around
I'm
town.
walking around the town.
What's a photo album? What's a photo album? A photo album
A
is a
photo album
folder or
is a
book
folder of a book
containing photographs.
containing photographs.
Greg, do you personally find online shopping a more and more attractive option these days? Do you personally find online shopping a more and more attractive option these days? Yes or no?
Yes,
I personally find
I personally
online
find
shopping
online
a more
shopping
and more
more and
attractive
more
option these
attractive
days.
option these days.
Greg, are you positive you shut your door properly when you left home today? Are you positive you shut your door properly when you left home today? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm positive. I
I'm
shut
positive.
my door
I shut
properly
my door
when I
properly
left home
when
today.
I left home today.
Regit, what are the three forms of quit? What are the three forms of quit? The three
The
forms
three
of
forms
quit
of
are
quit
quit, quit,
are
quit.
quit.
What's the opposite of nice? What's the opposite of nice? The opposite of
The
nice
opposite of
is
nice
nasty.
is nasty.
Very good. One more. The opposite of
The
nice
opposite
is
of nice
nasty.
is nasty.
Do you like spicy food? Do you like spicy food? Yes or no?
Yes,
I like spicy
I
food.
like spicy food.
What's a beast? What's a beast? A beast is
A
a
beast
large and
is a
dangerous
large
animal,
and dangerous
such
animal,
as a gorilla.
such as a gorilla.
Greg, what part of the body is? Okay, so here, what part of the body is this? What part of the body is this? That part of the
That
body
part of
is
the
the hip.
body is the hip.
What's your least favorite household chore? What's your least favorite household chore? My least favorite
My least
household
favorite
chore
household chore
is
is cleaning toilet.
cleaning the toilet. Very good.
Yeah,
What do you feel like doing this evening? What do you feel like doing this evening? I feel like
I feel like watching Netflix this evening.
very good. What do we call the final section of an essay? What do we call the final section of an essay?
Section of an essay.
We call the
We
final
call
section
the
of
final
an
section
essay the
of an
conclusion.
essay the conclusion.
Which region of your country is best known for its gorgeous landscape? Which region of your country is best known for its gorgeous landscape?
Hokkaido
Is the region
is
of
a
my
region
country
of my
which is
country
best known
which is
for
best
its
known
gorgeous
for its
landscape.
gorgeous landscape.
Greg, do you prefer to travel by land, by sea, or by air? Do you prefer to travel by land, by sea, or by air? I prefer to travel
I prefer to
by.
travel by land.
Very good. What do we use sacks for? What do we use sacks for? We use sacks
We use
for
sacks
transporting
for
and storing
transporting
things
and
like
storing things
vegetables,
like
especially
vegetables,
potatoes.
especially potatoes.
Very good. What do we call the mark left on our skin after a wound has healed? What do we call the mark left on our skin after a wound has healed? We call the mark
We call
left
the
on
mark
our skin
left on our
after a
skin
wound has healed.
after a
A
after
wound has healed. Wound.
after a wound has healed.
A scar.
A scar.
Very good. One
Okay.
more. We call the mark
We call the
left
mark
on our skin
left on our
after
skin
a wound has
after a
healed.
wound
A
has
scar.
healed. A scar.
Very good. If you won 20 million pounds in the lottery, how much would you donate to charity? If you won 20 million pounds in the lottery, how much would you donate to charity? If I won
If
20
I won
million pounds
20
in the
million
lottery,
pounds in a
I
lottery,
donate
I donate 2 million
to
pounds to
charity.
charity.
Very good. Why is a terrorist called a terrorist? Why is a terrorist called a terrorist? A terrorist
A
is called
terrorist
a
is
terrorist
called a
because
terrorist
he tries to
because he
create
tried
terror
to create
among
terror
the innocent
among the
citizen
innocent
of the
citizens
country.
of the country.
Very good. What do we call a baby cat? What do we call a
What
baby
do we
cat?
call a baby
We
cat?
call a baby
We
cat
call
a
a baby
kitten.
cat as a kitten.
Very good. How does the doctor obtain a small sample of blood from a patient? How does a doctor obtain a small sample of blood from a patient? A doctor
A
obtains
doctor
a small
obtains
sample
a
of
small
blood
sample
from
of
a
blood
patient
from a
by
patient
pricking the end
by pricking
of the
the end
patient's finger
of the patient's
with a
finger
needle.
with a needle.
Greg, what do we mean by folk music? What do we mean by folk music? By folk music,
By folk
we
music,
mean the
we
traditional
mean
music
traditional
of
music
a particular
of a
community.
particular community.
Very good. One more. By folk music,
By folk
we
music,
mean the
we
traditional
mean
music
the traditional
of
music
a particular
of a
community.
particular community.
Do you always keep a pen handy in case you need one? Do you always keep a pen handy in case you need one? Yes or no?
Yes,
I always
I
keep a pen
always
handy
keep a pen
in
handy
case I need one.
in case I need one.
Very good. What are the two other common names we can use instead of pullover? What are two other common names we can use instead of pullover? Two other common
Two
names
other
we
common
can
names
use
we
instead
can
of
use
pullover
instead of a
are
pullover,
sweater and jumper.
sweater and jumper.
Very good. Do you enjoy listening to and reading gossips? Do you enjoy listening to and reading gossips? Yes or no?
No,
I don't
I
enjoy
don't
listening
enjoy
to
listening
and reading
to
gossips.
and reading gossips.
Very good. Do professional ballet dancer need very high levels of technical skills? Do professional ballet dancers
Ballet
need very
dancer
high
need
levels of technical skills?
technical skills.
Yes.
Yes,
Professional ballet dancers
professional ballet dancers
need very high level
need very high
of
level
technical skill.
of technical skills.
Right. Does a train accelerate when it pulls into a station? Does a train accelerate when it pulls into a station? No. A train
No,
doesn't
a train
accelerate
doesn't
when it
accelerate
pulls
when
into a
it pulls
station.
into a
It
station.
slows down
It
and
slows
comes to
down
a halt.
and comes to a halt.
Wait, if a train outside your house was blocked, what would you do? If a drain outside your house was blocked, what would you do? If a drain
If a
outside
drain
my house
outside my
was
house
blocked,
was blocked,
I'd
I'd call the plumber to
plumber.
fix.
Very good. When you're at work, who's liable for your safety? When you're at work, who's liable for your safety? When I'm at work,
When I'm at
my
work,
employer is
my
liable
employer is
for my
liable
safety.
for my safety.
Where what kind of things are usually delivered by post? What kind of things are usually delivered by post? The kind of things
The
that
kind of
are
things
usually
that are
delivered by
usually
post
delivered by
are
post
birthday cards,
are birthday card,
bills, small
bills,
packages,
small
etc.
packages, etc.
Very good. What do we call each individual program that the TV series is composed of? What do we
Program.
call each individual program that the TV series is composed of? We call
We
each
call
individual
each
program
individual
that a
programs
TV series
that a
is
TV series
composed of
is
an
composed of
episode.
an episode.
Very good. What do we mean by a cover letter? What do we mean by a cover letter? By a cover letter,
By a cover
we
letter,
mean a
we
formal
mean
letter
a formal
that we
letter
send
that we
along
send
with our
along
CV
with our
when we
TV
apply for
when
a
we
job.
apply for a job.
When do people usually frown? When do people usually frown? People usually frown
People usually
when they
frown
feel
when
annoyed,
they feel
when
annoyed,
they're confused,
when they are
or when
confused,
they're
when
concentrating
they are
hard.
concentrating hard.
Very good. Would you say learning to cook was merely a matter of following recipes? Would you say learning to cook was merely a matter of following recipes? Yes or no?
No,
I wouldn't say.
I wouldn't
Learning to
say
cook
learning
was
to cook
merely a
was
matter of
merely a
following
matter of
recipes.
recipes.
We could name some instruments that we commonly hear in an orchestra. Name some instruments that we commonly hear in an orchestra.
No?
Some instruments
Some
that we
instruments
commonly
that
hear
we
in
commonly
an
hear
orchestra
in an
are
orchestra
violin,
are
trumpet,
violin,
flute,
trumpet,
etc.
flute, etc.
Very good. What kind of music drives you crazy? What kind of music drives you crazy?
Rock music
Drives me crazy.
drives me crazy.
Very good. What are odd numbers and even numbers? What are odd numbers and even numbers? Odd numbers
Other
are
numbers
1,
are
3,
1,
5,
3,
7,
5,
etc.
7, etc.
Whereas even numbers
Whereas even
are 2,
numbers are
4,
2,
6, 8,
4,
etc.
6, 8, etc.
Very good. If two of your friends starts arguing, do you think it's always best to remain neutral? If two of your best starts arguing, do you think it's always best to remain neutral? Yes or no?
Yes,
If two of my
if
friends
two of my
starts
friends
arguing,
start
I think
arguing,
it's always
I think
best
it's
to
always
remain
best
neutral.
to remain neutral.
Greg, it was the house you grew up in set in a pleasant surrounding. Was the house you grew up in set in a pleasant surrounding? Yeah, okay, but we
Yeah.
can't finish that anymore. So we stop there for
Okay.
tonight, but very